$20 billion. That is the cost of the secret plane that the United States never wanted you to see, but which today has been exposed to the whole world. I'm talking to you about the B-21 Raider, a war machine so advanced it looks like it was brought from another planet to dominate the skies of this year 2026. Today I will tell you absolutely everything about this secret plane, its forbidden capabilities, and why it has the other world powers shaking with fear. So get ready, and before we start, make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave your huge like so you don't miss anything. Let's start. The story of the B-21 Raider begins that cold night at the facilities of Plant 42 in Palmdale, California. It turns out that the USAF, that is the United States Air Force, together with the aerospace giant Northrop Grumman, finally decided to lift the curtain and present the B-21 Raider to the world. Mind you, we are not talking about just any plane. It is the first sixth-generation bomber in the world. To give you an idea of the madness of this event, more than 30 years have passed since the last time they presented something similar, and the security was so extreme it looked like a horror movie. The few chosen ones who attended were strictly forbidden from carrying phones or cameras, and they were kept at a distance calculated to the millimeter. Do you know why? Because they didn't want anyone, absolutely anyone, to see the back of the plane nor the engine exhausts. If a Russian or Chinese spy satellite managed to capture the shape of the nozzles, they could decipher how on earth this apparatus dissipates heat to become invisible to infrared sensors. It is a justified level of paranoia because every centimeter of that pale gray surface is worth millions. This monster has that iconic flying wing shape, very similar to its grandfather, the B-2 Spirit, but much more sinister and advanced. What shocked everyone was its color. It isn't black like the old spy planes, it is a spectral gray, a tone designed specifically to absorb radar waves of frequencies that we didn't even know were used in combat. We are talking about a wingspan of approximately 45 meters, which, although it is a bit smaller than its predecessor, is infinitely more lethal and capable. The engineering behind this is so complex that it is said they have almost completely eliminated visible moving surfaces, which means that, for an enemy radar, this gigantic plane looks the size of a mosquito or a golf ball. Imagine the face of the enemy radar operators trying to shoot at something that their screens say doesn't exist. But it is not just about invisibility, it is about pure endurance and lethality. And here I'll tell you something few people know. You have to understand that its predecessor, the B-2, was a genuine maintenance diva. It needed hangars with perfect air conditioning, and if a simple insect crashed against its special paint, the plane remained out of service for weeks for costly repairs. With the Raider, that is over forever. They have developed a skin of composite materials so incredibly resistant that this plane can operate from austere bases without needing those luxury cares, which means it can be hidden in any hangar in the world, ready to take off and attack in a matter of minutes without enemy satellites detecting the usual support infrastructure. And hold on tight, because the way they built it looks like something out of a science fiction movie. They didn't use traditional paper and pencil blueprints, but a revolutionary digital twin engineering. Before manufacturing the first physical screw, engineers had already flown the virtual plane millions of times in ultra-realistic simulators, correcting errors that previously cost fortunes and years of delay. This allowed the first real unit that came out of the factory not to be a clumsy test prototype, but a production model ready for war. Furthermore, it is a Swiss Army knife of the sky. It is not only made to launch doomsday nuclear bombs, but it has a flexible cargo bay capable of carrying massive conventional missiles, swarms of protection drones, and electronic warfare systems to fry enemy circuits and radars before even dropping its load. But here is where things get really spicy, and we enter the territory of numbers that make you dizzy. Because when we talk about $20 billion, we are not exaggerating by a single cent. It is estimated that the cost of the total program to develop, buy, and operate 100 of these beasts throughout their useful life could exceed $203 billion. It is a figure that is hard to even pronounce. However, the initial development cost and the launch of this technology, which many call alien, is around that figure of $20 billion that has been invested in creating an open systems architecture. What does this mean in plain English? Well, that the plane is basically a super advanced flying computer, which can be updated as if it were your mobile phone, but with the capacity to wipe entire cities off the map. Unlike old planes where to change a part or improve a radar you had to dismantle half the apparatus and it took months, here software is everything. It is said that this plane is so intelligent that it can integrate with spy satellites, drones, submarines, and other fighters in real time, creating a combat network that no enemy can penetrate. And don't believe that this is pure paper theory, because the first test flight, which took place on November 10th, 2023, confirmed that this thing flies and moves with a smoothness that scares the test pilots themselves. Now I want you to stop for a second and think about this with your hand on your heart. Do you believe it justifies spending $20 billion on a weapon when there are so many needs in the world? Or do you believe it is strictly necessary to maintain peace by force in the face of global threats? Leave me your sincere opinion down here in the comments. And let's continue. This doesn't end here, because we cannot talk about the B-21 without talking about what comes behind it, and that is the true secret that the United States keeps underground. The NGAD program, or Next Generation Air Dominance. If you thought the Raider was expensive, wait until you hear this, because the NGAD is a sixth-generation fighter that is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars per unit. Yes, you heard right, for each one of the planes. It is strongly rumored in the halls of the Pentagon that each of these planes will cost 3 times more than an F-35. We are talking about a machine that is not only invisible to radar, but also controls a swarm of loyal drones known as CCA, or Collaborative Combat Aircraft. Imagine the scene: the pilot flying in his mothership, surrounded by 3 or 5 drones that act as his shields, his eyes, and his kamikaze weapons. These drones can fly ahead to scan the terrain, take shots to save the pilot, or attack suicide targets without putting any American human life at risk. It is a tactical madness that changes everything we knew about aerial warfare since the Second World War. The Air Force has requested almost $6 billion just for research and development of this project in the next 5 years, looking to have it operational by the year 2030. And speaking of dates and real data, the competition is not staying behind, and that is why the urgency in Washington is maximum. China has already deployed its J-20, the famous Mighty Dragon, and is working at forced marches and stealing industrial secrets to bring out its own stealth bomber, the H-20. That is why the B-21 Raider and the NGAD are not the whims of bored generals. They are a direct and aggressive response to military expansion in the Pacific. A brutal fact about the Raider is its global range. Although it is highly classified information, it is speculated with much basis that it can fly more than 9,600 kilometers without needing to refuel in the air. This allows it to take off from the continental territory of the United States, bomb any target in the world, be it in Asia or Eastern Europe, and return home or land at a safe Allied base without anyone finding out they were there until it is too late. Furthermore, it uses new generation composite materials in its fuselage, ceramics and fibers, that are so secret that the workers at the plant in Palmdale are forbidden, under penalty of federal prison, from speaking even about the glues or rivets they use. Stealth technology has advanced so much that the most modern Russian air defense systems, like the S-400 or the feared S-500, would have serious problems, almost impossible ones, to fix it as a target. But let's go back to the cockpit, because here is where reality surpasses Hollywood fiction. The plane is designed to be optionally manned. Yes, you read my mind. It can fly with brave human pilots, or it can fly completely alone, controlled by an advanced artificial intelligence. This opens a gigantic ethical and military debate, because we are talking about leaving the decision to drop bombs in the hands of algorithms and circuits. Although the Air Force assures that there will always be a human in the loop for lethal decisions, nobody knows what will happen in a total war. The load capacity is another fact that drives you crazy, because although it is smaller than the B-2, it can carry the new nuclear bomb B-6112, which is a high-precision guided gravity bomb, capable of fitting through a window. Additionally, it is prepared to carry hypersonic missiles, those that travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound, and against which currently there is no possible defense in any army in the world. That is to say, you have a plane you cannot see, launching a missile you cannot stop. It is the absolute definition of checkmate in military terms, and all of this flies thanks to Pratt & Whitney engines, so hidden and cooled that their heat signature is almost null, making it invisible to missiles. It is not a drawing. There are already at least 6 real fuselages being manufactured right now at Plant 42. Mind you, maintaining it costs a fortune because it requires climate-controlled hangars to protect its delicate stealth skin. But according to Lloyd Austin, it is the ultimate deterrence. Nobody will attack knowing that this ghost can destroy them before they know the war has started. And to top it all off, This is not just a plane, it is a family of systems. It is connected to a global combat cloud where, if a satellite sees something, the pilot knows it at the speed of light and shoots in microseconds. That justifies the 20 billion. You are not paying for wings, you are paying for the brain of a network of technological death and total dominance. Now I ask you, with all this information on the table and goosebumps on your skin, do you believe that stealth technology will remain undetectable in the future? Or do you believe that new quantum radars and artificial intelligence will end up making these $20 billion ghosts visible? Leave your detailed answer down below in the comments. And if this video has impacted you, and you want to keep discovering the darkest and most real military secrets, make sure to subscribe, activate that bell so you don't miss anything, and smash that like button to support the channel. See you in the next video.